Welcome to my writing life. This is where I'm going to spend a little time telling you updates about what's going on in my writing journey. I also want to discuss a couple of things that I've learned along the way and hopefully encourage you in your own journey with creativity. So first things first, the question that I know several people have been asking me, what's going on with the book? I heard she's not even writing. Back in 2013, I had a pair of friends who were like, hey, we should write books together. People do that? Yes, they do that. Hey, I want to write a book and I want to actually publish it and be an author and do the thing. And it's exciting and awesome. And so I started. I created expectations within my circle of friends and supporters. And then I also started my family 6 months later, writing a book. Sidelined. Since it seems like I'm gonna not have a life for the next few years until my kids are both school aged, I was like, you know what I should do with all of that spare time I'm gonna have? I'm gonna go ahead and commit to writing a book and having it publishable and ready by the time my kids are in kindergarten and first grade. And I'll have a second one waiting in the wings. So all that spare time that I'm gonna have while I'm hanging out with my kids. For those of you keeping score, I have not, in fact, written a book to the point that it's publishable. Shocking. I have not published anything. And spoiler alert, I'm not going to be publishing anything this year. I'm sorry that I failed to meet those expectations. The goal also came from a place of ignorance regarding the writing process. Having a bachelor's degree in English did not effectively prepare me to actually write books or be an author. From 2013 until now, and this is July 21, I have been basically scrambling to read every single writing craft book, every single guru and suggestion about the writing process and how to do things the way that books work. There will never stop being so much to learn. So much of it is useful, a lot of it is BS, but when you're new, you don't know that. In the beginning, it took me a ton of time to just consume everything. You kind of have to go through it. As much as this sounds like an excuse for why I didn't meet my goal, I consider myself excused from not meeting that goal. I hate letting myself off the hook for things, but occasionally it's legit. That is actually the subject of what I wanted to talk about today. There is a very popular idea out there, the idea of a habit. There is a trigger that creates a response in you. You follow that trigger with a routine, whether it's good or bad. At the end of that routine, you're rewarded for it, which reinforces your desire to do the routine next time that you receive that trigger. An example of this, you wake up in the morning because your alarm goes off. That's the trigger. The routine you presently have is you hit the snooze button. And then at the end of hitting the snooze button, you roll over, you pull the blankets back over your head, and you get to sleep for 4 more minutes, and that's your reward. That habituates and ingrains that routine for you, and that is why it's very, very difficult to break the habit of hitting your snooze button. And it'll take a degree of discipline for a little while, but you want to change the routine to set goals and kind of become what you want to be, what you want to do with your life. It's kind of all over the place. Parenting, IEP meetings, hell, I've heard pastors preach it from the pulpit. If you want to become more Christ-like, you need to work the spiritual disciplines into the daily rhythms of your life. It's true. I am for habit. It's a very popular concept that's kind of all over the place. Big business, success-oriented self-help. In the writing community, habit is the big flag that everyone is waving about how you succeed. And that makes a lot of sense. The science is with you on that. If that is the argument you're making, to a certain extent, you're right. That is what the science says. But I kind of want to talk about the rest of us, and I kind of want to talk about Grace. In December of 2019, I got a diagnosis of bipolar 2. For me, it was freaking liberating. Oh, this explains a lot about how I work. And along the journey, I have learned a heck-a-ton about habit. Certain aspects of it are within reach for me, but my illness is somewhat defined on being unpredictable and unstable. It's difficult to build routine when I don't respond to the same triggers the same way, given which phase I'm in. Long story short, it has humbled me. Predictability in your life is not within your control. And it's not accessible to everyone. So all of these books that are out there saying, well, all you gotta do is create better habits and it's gonna change your life. Yes, but kind of accept with humility that if your life has a degree of predictability to it, that's a gift. And my life has quite a bit of predictability to it. My husband is a good man. We really love routine in this house. Really, we love routine in this house. My neighbors are nice. There's a significant amount of predictability and stability to my life upon which I can build a pretty significant amount of habits. But there are always going to be things that disrupt my expectations and disrupt my habits. And for the record, there are damn good reasons, really legitimate, important reasons to completely throw your good habits out the window. Hello, we just went through a global pandemic. We have all learned a little bit about letting go of control and finding a way to be okay when things are not what we thought they were going to be. That has been a major contribution to my recent understanding of my writing process. I recently read a book, The Healthy Writer by Joanna Penn and Dr. Ewan Lawson. Everything they have to say in here is pretty awesome and relevant to anyone who works a desk job. I know it says healthy writer, but it could basically say healthy cubicle flyer. One of the most incredible sections in here was written by a man named Dan Holloway. His piece was extremely impactful to me. This article that he wrote in Healthy Writer is called Riding the Waves, Writing with Depression and Anxiety. He has bipolar, and he is an author with a wildly successful career and a list of credentials longer than I am tall. This is a person who has figured out how to be a writer with bipolar. And let me tell you, it does not look very much like the vast majority of writing advice out there. It has really validated a few things for me too, because I have figured out I really cannot work the way that a lot of my friends work. And he talks about how the vast majority of writing advice that's out there does not apply to him. If you're a person who has been striving after something, who wants it, don't let the time behind you weigh you down and stop you here. It's not over. And I guess I especially want to talk to individuals living with bipolar. First of all, hi, I'm kind of lonely. Message me. There is so much pressure to be consistent, and there is such a high social value placed on, that's a stable, steady person. If you want to do anything, don't wait. Don't wait until you are stable enough. Don't wait until you are managed enough. If you want to start a blog, but you're really hesitant because you know that blogs live and die by the consistency of their posting, please don't wait. Please do it anyway. Don't wait to start. If you want to start a YouTube channel, but you know that the algorithm will bury you if you don't post on a regular basis the same day every week, oh well, get buried. But try it. Do the thing that you want to do. You never know how the world is going to respond to it. You never know who else is out there that sees you, that wants to go on that journey with you, even if that journey is wild. There are days where my mood shifts and my energy shifts so rapidly that I can't actually effectively work on the same project 2 days in a row. Depression looks at the world through one filter and one perspective, and hypomania looks at the world a very different way. My disabilities are a thing that I need to actually deal with. I know there are people out there who are going to assume that I'm lazy or think that it's not that bad. These things limit me. That's because I don't know how to work with them yet. I don't know if these things have to limit me forever, but right now they sure do. Because I don't know what I'm doing. This is where I'm at in my journey, and if you're out there and you're dealing with similar things right now, leave a comment, send me a message. Let's hang out. Some of you that know me are aware that I really like to sew, and that I actually learned how to sew before I learned how to read, and I started wearing my own clothing designs when I was in high school. I'd say at this point about 70% of the clothing I wear is stuff that I've made. Made this. Oh, now you guys are all analyzing whether or not I did a good job on it. I realized something back in high school that I did not realize about writing until this past spring, and that is that when you make a thing, it's only somewhat real until you put it out there in the world. I made so many articles of clothing before my senior year of high school. I didn't start wearing anything that I made until my senior year because I didn't have the confidence. What I'm wearing right now is pretty well crafted linen garment with French seams and high quality construction that I have cultivated in skills, but that's now. And I love wearing my clothing in public now. When I first started actually wearing my clothing in public, it was a very different story. Let's go back, time warp, to a time when Amy wore really crap stuff that she made. The very first garment that I made and I wore out in public, to call it a tube would be generous. We're talking like this stretchy polyester, I fairly see through, but not so much that I would get in trouble for it. You know, the kind that shows every single bit of your body's weirdness and shape. Really unforgiving, super sweaty, plasticky, high polyester, pink sheer fabric, and it had flowers all over it. It had like a tail flap thingy because I was like, oh, I want to have coat and tails type situation. And it was basically a butt flap. It was a halter top. I made a neck strap with the little pink sheer bits that were leftover scraps, and it was all like loose threads, and it was awful, and it cut into my neck and it hurt. And the tube like kind of like cut in and it was too tight, so I had like my little arm meat sticking out. I'm just describing this in such glorious detail. The reason I mention it is because it was awful, but I wore it. When I actually put it on and wore it to school or wherever the heck I went, youth group probably, that's kind of when it actually became a functional shirt in my closet rather than a hanger decoration that I looked at sometimes. It's not really possible to create a thing and then just keep it to yourself. In the process of creating, there is no point to continue to create if the things that you create only ever live on a shelf in the back of your closet forever. That was something that I learned with the blog that I wrote. I really deeply enjoyed writing that, posting it, sharing it, creating that rhythm of having people read my words and getting feedback. I can't actually make much more progress in creating anything without sharing it with people and letting people comment and letting people judge me and then figuring out that I can survive it. My hope is that eventually I will get as comfortable wearing my writing in public as I am now wearing my clothing in public. And I want to set your expectations. You might catch me in a few writing versions of the pink halter top. I have started outlining a new book. I started outlining in January. I did not really gain any momentum until April. As of now, I'm outlining chapter 10. I've got some text down. I've got some ideas in place. I've got my characters kind of sorted. I would like to be writing by the end of the summer. Again, as I've mentioned in this video, life is kind of unpredictable, so I'm not going to promise you that. I promise transparency. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This has been so much fun. I'm really excited to continue doing this. I will see you again next week, and I will give you an update on what is going on with the writing. Keep going on whatever it is that you are dreaming about. Bye!